folks. Welcome to Market Technical Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com for October 9th, 2007. Well, before we get right into it here, what I want to just go over is what the market did today. And we see the market moving up today, and most of that was late in the day. We saw the Dow climbing 120 points, almost 121 points, or 0.86%, while the Nasdaq climbed 16.5 points, or 0.59%, while the S&P moved up 12.5 points, 0.81%. Now, overall, guys, and I'm going to show you the ES chart here, and it's very, very interesting with what we saw today. We saw very, very light volume, but that was expected going into the FOMC minutes released at 2 o'clock. And as you guys can see right here, we basically traded sideways. Up a little here at the open, into the open, down a little bit, up, down, and every which way. Right before the FOMC minutes, we saw a little bit of a small sell-off, but then once the release came out, we saw a spike up. And that's exactly what happened. In the afternoon, we got the FOMC minutes. To summarize, they basically said the economy is slowing. However, inflation is not as much of a risk anymore as they had first thought or were thinking, and the market rallied on that. And as we keep on saying, in this type of market, any news is good news. No news is good news. It doesn't matter. It's good news. And that just continues to be the point here. And we have to also recognize that. And while we are maybe well overbought here, and again, I want to point out these stochastics for an entry point on the long side. It makes it very tough to enter when the stochastics are so much on the flat side here. And again, we went over in yesterday's video how the only reason we use stochastics on the flat top or the bottom is whether or not we're looking for an entry or not. Other than that, you look for negative and positive divergences, which we went over yesterday in the video. But again, here, you know, at this point, it's like, okay, well, you missed this run here from this point. And again, we did think that we were going to get a rally off of that move in August. And again, my point being here, I'm going to go to the daily. And you're going to see the daily here. This is going back to August, and you're going to see the move up here. Yeah, we thought we were going to get a rally. Once you form this this buy candle right here, we knew we'd get a move up. However, we did think that we'd retest the lows, which we have not done yet. And we continue to move higher. And these stochastics, again, this is on the daily ES. This is the S&P December contract. Continues just to be very, very toppy up here. And when you're looking for an entry, it's very tough to buy when you see stochastics or MACD that are on the upper buy side. All right, what you want to see is a general pullback, so you get those stochastics back down to this middle level at least, and then once you get that small pullback, then it might be a buying opportunity. But if you're not long at this point, it's a tough long to jump in this market. Going back to the intraday, again, we saw this afternoon buy on the FOMC minutes, and it was just a constant move up here. Just all afternoon, ever since those FOMC minutes, we squeezed up. We topped out a little before the market closed and sold off a little bit, but for the most part, we ended at the highs. Now, what I want to go over here, again, is the daily, but I'm going to bring up the Nasdaq chart. And here's the Nasdaq. And we see the Nasdaq's been stronger than any of the other indexes and continues to lead us with tech. And again, we have the trend lines that we've been using here. And again, you can see the trend line here with these points, and the upper trend line, which continues to hold in this level here, this parallel channel, all the way up. And what you can notice again is we keep on bouncing off either side, and we are near the upper portions of that Nasdaq trend chart right there, as you guys can see I'm pointing to. So keep that in mind, that we might see, you know, maybe over the next few days it would be healthy to see a little pullback off that top channel. And again, if you're looking for a possible exit of a position in an index, that might be it, where we touch that upper trend channel. All right. Going to the intraday Nasdaq, you can basically see the same thing. Doing the little analysis, you see we were basically stuck between these 2 points all day until those minutes came out, and then we broke out to the upside here. Once you broke that high, it took us up nicely. All right, we did sell off on the Nasdaq a little into the close. You saw a little weakness finally come in, and after the bell, you had Alcoa reporting, and we're still waiting on earnings there on Alcoa, and we should see what those numbers mean for the market. In addition, we are getting into some earnings reporting season starting this week and especially next week. Next Tuesday, Yahoo and Intel kick off the big tech names reporting next Tuesday, and this is going to cause a lot of volatility in this market. Stocks at this point are priced to perfection, as I'm sure many of you know how much we've gone off these August 16th lows. Everything has basically screamed to new 52-week highs, if not all-time highs. And based on that, you have to assume that the earnings are priced in to at least matching their earnings, if not beating. Plus the estimates for the future quarters are going to be key here. And so it's very important to watch what's going to go on here over the next week or two as we get into deep earnings season and see if this market can hold its gains. What we also saw today was the dollar reversing to the downside. We had seen recently the dollar moving off the lows, as we had talked about in multiple videos over the last 2 weeks, that we expected the dollar to gain traction. And the dollar has gained traction and moved off the lows over the last 2 weeks. However, today we saw a reversal in the dollar, and the dollar came down pretty sharply, and in tune with that, obviously gold and oil, because they're traded in US dollars, rallied to the upside. We saw the USO climbing, and here's the intraday chart of the USO, but I'll show you the daily, and you can see we were right on that 20 moving average here. This is a lot of support here on the GLD. If we should break that and close below that 20, you could look for another sell-off in the GLD. However, we did hold it, and we bounced up strong today, up 56 cents on the GLD to 73.09. In addition, as we said, the USO went higher as well. Now, the USO is an interesting play here because what we did do is yesterday we did break below the 20 moving average, and just like the GLD chart, we were holding that support. However, yesterday's steep drop in oil took us below that 20, and we did close below. So note how today's candle, even though it was a strong move up in oil, it pierced the 20 to the upside but could not close above that 20 moving average. That's a technical signal. They're telling you that until it gets above that 20, you have to favor the downside here a little in oil. Okay? And again, until we close above that 20 moving average, because the wick just went above, but it did not close above, then you have to favor that downside. Should we close back above that 20, and it'll reestablish that support of the 20 moving average, and you can see a move higher in oil. Okay? In addition, what we also saw here is the GLD climbing 64 cents to close at 61.40. Other than that, I just want to go over some odds and ends here with the day trading. We've continued to have some great day trading days. There are just some stocks moving out of left field here that continue to be talked about in the chat room before they run. One being VOLT, which had a nice little run today. And you can see this was called here at about $6.20, which is right here. All right, this we noted here on the volume here index. Note the volume here, and we have a watch list in the chat room that just picks up. You know, we just have a great watch list, and it picks up all these moves in volume. And once we see a little price spike on them and get a little inkling that something's going to go on, we can talk about them. All right. In addition, there were a couple others. CNLG ran again today. That was a runner from last week. You can see the mega move up there. And we're not talking about, you know, if you guys notice, we're talking about smaller stocks. These percentage moves on these smaller stocks are just tremendous. In addition, we saw some of the Chinese plays that had run huge and then pulled back the last 2-3 days run again. RCH was one, and I want to show you this stock, RCH, which was at $14 as of yesterday's close, went to $20.35 today. That's a $6 gain on a $14 stock. In addition, CHNR, a mega runner, and look at this chart on the daily. See how much that had run. It pulled back, and it did move up today. And I'll go back to RCH's daily so everyone can see. We had the monster run on this IPO, a pullback, and then another run today. And you guys will note that stocks generally do that. If you have a big push, you have a small pullback, and then another push higher. It's just kind of like a wave pattern on the beach. You have the push in of the tide and how it pulls back, and then you have another wave coming. And it's the same thing with stocks and the mentality. So keep that in mind, guys, when you see big runners. They will pull back, but eventually they will have another push up. It's just key to have a good entry price and be ready to take profits immediately, especially when it's a day trade. Always take profits as soon as you get a good gain that you expected. Never get greedy, because the market will take it right away from you. All right, folks, other than that, the market's been a fun market. We look to have some more great days in the chat room. Feel free to come and join us. Go to inthemoneystocks.com and click on Intraday Stock Chat, and you can join us there. Join the swing trade alerts as well. And in addition, if you have any questions, email us on the website, and we'll be glad to answer anything you have. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.